Alright, hello. A couple of years ago I did a ranking video for the first season of The Simpsons, and after years of procrastinating, it's finally time for me to move on to season 2. Whereas season 1 was pretty junky and unpolished, season 2 is where the true golden age begins. So for the last 2 weeks, I decided to watch every single episode. With fantastic episode after fantastic episode, this is much harder for me to rank.
Hello, my name is Mr. Burns. I believe you have a letter for me.
Okay, Mr. Burns. What's your first name?
I don't know. Great plan, Bart.
Also, this should go without saying, but these are my opinions. Despite the fact that I have been told many times how wrong and incorrect I am, please don't hate me if your favourite didn't make the list. So, with all that introduction nonsense out the way, let's begin with number 10.
Homer?
Herb?
You look just like... Except you got a little more. And a little less. God, I feel so... Homer!
The one with the car built for Homer, starring Danny DeVito as Homer's long-lost half-brother, Herbert Powell. It's a Homer special, with some brilliant and classic moments, such as Homer failing to read between the lines, and the infamous car that ruins Herb's business. But then, let's be fair, it was kind of his own fault, in trusting Homer to build a car by himself, without any restrictions, and not even seeing the car until it's fully finished. What did he expect would happen?
I want a horn here, here, and here. You can never find a horn when you're mad. And they should all play La Cucaracha.
We get plenty of moments involving characters watching popular media, with both a McBain movie to begin with, and Herb and the kids enjoying a classic Itchy and Scratchy episode. Although the revelation of a long-lost sibling could seem tacky, it's something that would probably be done pretty shabbily if it was done in later seasons. In season 2, you give it a pass, as it doesn't feel very gimmicky.
I'm here! Now where's that millionaire chip off the old block I call Sonny Boy?
Get in, Dad. I'll explain on the way home.
Oh, I knew you'd blow it.
Oh no, he's hurt! Bad! Let's get out of here!
Monster truck rallies, wrestling, daredevils. Oh, and don't forget the giant robotic dinosaur / truck. This is one of the most adrenaline-filled episodes within the season. It has to make this list based purely on it including one of the most famous and best jokes of all time. After Homer falls down the Springfield Gorge, his constant torture of falling back down just has some of the best comic timing and ends up feeling like a classic Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner short. But there's more to this episode than Homer being hurt. We see his willingness to be caring towards his children, having a man-to-man talk with Bart, and willing to sit through Lisa's recital.
I reached in. Homer, drive defensively.
Sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Faster, Dad. Truckosaurus awaits.
The episode mostly revolves around Bart, with him being inspired by a daredevil after witnessing him at a failed stunt at the Monster Truck Rally. The connection we see between Homer and Bart is heartwarming, even though we know it won't last long.
I don't think I've ever felt as close to you as I do right... Huh? As I got up in front of them, I felt an intoxication that had nothing to do with alcohol. It was the intoxication of being a public spectacle.
Despite not knowing anything about baseball, somehow a lot of baseball-themed episodes end up high in my rankings. Spoiler alert for when I get to season 3 in about 10 years, Homer at the bat will rank very highly. It does what a good episode should do. It makes a topic universal for everyone to enjoy, no matter if you're a simp or a Simpson.
Ah, well, if it isn't the Simps.
Simpsons, sir.
Huh? Oh, yes.
I'm also a sucker for Burns. Not in that way. The whole opening act is top quality Burns material. The only aspect which I'm not overly keen on is it being told as a flashback. Therefore, we already know Homer will end up failing, although that's no surprise either way. It feels like there isn't really a reason that demands it should be told through flashback. But we get Homer dancing his way to the big leagues, which will always be a memorable episode for me.
Hey, Mr. Showmanship. The owner wants to see you in his office right now.
I'm sorry, young man. You're just not ready. Pick up your check at the front office, and for God's sake, put some clothes on.
You I've never seen before.
Hey, yeah, who are you? I saw you chasing Bart's ambulance.
Hutz is the name, Mr. Simpson. Lionel Hutz, attorney at law. Here's my card. It turns into a sponge when you put it in water.
Not only does this episode introduce one iconic character, it manages to squeeze in two, with both Dr. Nick and, more importantly, Lionel Hutz making their debuts, with Lionel Hutz potentially being my favourite non-Simpson character, played by the amazing Phil Hartman. You should really hate this character, yet Phil manages to make him so likeable. After Bart is struck by Mr. Burns' car, we end up with the Simpsons trying to sue Mr. Burns.
Hey, Simpson, I heard Mr. Burns crushed your boy.
Yeah. If I wasn't so spineless, I'd march into Mr. Burns' office right now and...
Simpson! Mr. Burns wants you to march into his office right now.
Pushed through mostly by the shady practices of Lionel Hutz and Homer's greed. And yep, it's a Burns-centric episode as well. How can you not love it? Did I say earlier it introduces us to two iconic characters? Let's make that three. The blue-haired lawyer, of course, makes his debut in this episode, as Burns' top lawyer. The only reason this episode doesn't quite rank higher is the ending. I'm not very keen on this ending at all. The fact that Homer tells Marge he isn't sure he loves her anymore because she cost him $1 million just feels very misplaced, a bit clunky, and then making up at Moe's just feels very tacky.
I'm sorry, but my mother always said if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Will that hold up in court?
No, I've tried it before.
The basis of this game seems to be simple geometry. All you have to do is hit the ball here.
I can't believe it. You've actually found a practical use for geometry.
The Battle of the Titans. Todd Flanders and Bart locked in a battle of the gladiatorial battlefield known as mini-golf. One of the first real spotlight episodes for the Flanders family, with Homer and Ned coming to blows after Ned invites him over for a cold beer, with Homer showing his more oafish and pushy nature as he pushes Bart to win the tournament, where we see Ned more conflicted with the bet, and mostly just wanting to be neighbourly and nice.
You are my brother. I love you. And yet, I feel a great sadness in my bosom.
We get to see the Lisa and Bart dynamic come to fruition as she teaches Bart how to relax, and it's clear she's a much better coach to him than the pushy Homer. I do wonder who some of these kids are. Obviously we have Bart and Todd. In the first round there was a battle between Martin and Ralph. A surprise win for Ralph. I thought he might just put the putter up his nose or something. But then what kid in Springfield has the surname Mellon?
It's just so humiliating. I'm never gonna lift this dumb damn slander.
You know, Simpson, I feel kind of silly, but what the hey, you know? Kind of reminds me of my good old fraternity days.
Oh my God, he's enjoying it.
Poison, poison, tasty fish. Concentrate, concentrate.
I want Grogu!
In Act 5 we have One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, one of the most sentimental episodes of the series. After trying and loving sushi for the first time, Homer is believed to have been poisoned by a pufferfish, and only has 24 hours to live. It's fun to see what Homer would do with his last hours on Earth. We see a sweeter side to him, having a heart-to-heart talk with Bart, and making a video for little Maggie.
You're probably wondering what kind of man your father was. He was a simple man, a kind man, a gentle man who loved his children and... Don't! Hello! Yeah, he's here. Who is this? Bart's friend Milhouse. Bart, get your butt down here!
We see the good side to Homer, even if Grandpa does take up a lot of his last day. I don't blame him for wanting to get the hell out of there. It's fun to see the more corrupt side of the Springfield police as well. In later seasons they'd be seen more as inept rather than corrupt. The scene where we see Homer slumped on his chair still gets to me. It's one of the few times where I'd admit to an episode of The Simpsons making my eyes water. You really do feel for Marge, who wakes up without her Homer.
You gotta help me, Barney. I'm in jail. You are? Hey, Homer, go to the window. Hi, neighbor. I can see you.
Just get over here and bring $50 for bail.
$50? What'd you do? Kill a judge?
Just resting my eyes.
Ah, well done. A rested employee is a vigilant employee.
Monitoring station unmanned.
The Simpsons has a knack of making great political satire, especially in the early years. We see a Burns special with him absolutely stealing the show. After a failed safety inspection at the power plant, and with three-eyed fish in the nearby rivers, it isn't looking too good for old man Burns.
Many of you consider him to be a hideous genetic mutation. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. But don't take my word for it. Let's ask an actor portraying Charles Darwin what he thinks.
Hello, Mr. Burns.
Oh, hello, Charles.
A running joke I love is how Homer manages to fall asleep so easily at work, managing to sleep well into the night. And of course, nobody even notices. I wish I could fall asleep at work, but no, they seem to care about me being awake. But him and Burns have a chat, and Burns is convinced to run for governor so as to not have his plant closed down. This leads to conflict as Homer backs Burns to try and save his job, while Marge is a stout supporter of Bailey, the Democrat representative. With Blinky the three-eyed fish coming back to haunt Burns, it's poetic justice that would cost him the election. Episodes like this make it clear why Burns would become one of the most important secondary characters in the series.
Smithers, step over this table for me. Yes, sir.
Are you aware that there is a major exam tomorrow on colonial America?
Yes, ma'am.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yes, ma'am.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yes, ma'am.
The season opener, we see straight away how different season 2 would be to season 1. The animation is so much smoother, stories are so much tighter and much more coherent. Bart, of course, was the huge breakout character this season, with many episodes named after him. This one sees the struggles he endures at school, as he risks repeat in the 4th grade.
What was the pirate's name in Treasure Island? Bart Simpson?
Look, lady, I got a peptic ulcer, a wife hawking me for a new car, and I need a root canal. Will you quit bugging me about the stupid pirate?
The stakes are genuinely high. Even if we know there's rarely any continuity in The Simpsons, they're not realistically going to make a drastic change where suddenly Bart is kept back a year. But it managed to earn the belief that he will. We see how Bart tries and still fails. Even on a snow day that he wished for, he stays in and studies, showing vulnerability breaking down when he fails again. After trying so hard, it makes you feel for him. The Bart and Miss Krabappel dynamic is one of my favourites in the show. We see that she generally cares about him and wants him to succeed. Even though he frustrates her no end, she is a good teacher. What a fantastic episode this is. But in a strong season, there manages to be 2 more even better.
Gotcha, Burnsy.
Why, you young ragamuffin, I was never one to back away from a snowball fight. Smithers, you may fire at will.
Certainly, sir.
No, children, you're not seeing things. This, my little friends, is a schwa. Are you the substitute?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
Are you insane?
No, sir. No, I'm not. It's my way of getting their attention.
Well, all right.
Quite possibly the greatest guest episode in the entire series, even though Dustin Hoffman himself would go uncredited. Back when celebrities would play new characters rather than just playing themselves. How refreshing. It's a major reason why newer seasons are often in the shadow of the early years. Writing amazing characters for people to play, rather than just making the obvious observational jokes about celebrity lives. This would be one of the first episodes to explore Lisa and Homer, and how despite them not having much in common, he tries and is always there to make amends.
Mr. Bergstrom!
Hi, Lisa. Hey, you don't have to pay. Read the sign.
And this must be your father.
This episode also manages to have a very good B-plot. A very school-heavy episode with Bart running for class president against Martin, and this takes a lot of the majority of the big laughs in the episode. While Mr. Bergstrom leaves as soon as he arrives, pushing Lisa to show her full potential. God, this season really is an emotional roller coaster. I can see why a lot of people would consider this to not only be the best episode from this season, but potentially of all time. I wouldn't quite go that far, but it does come close.
Go away. Lisa, don't hold anything back. You can tell me. Are you crying because you called Daddy a baboon?
No!
Nuts.
Before we have the top spot, there is a few that I had in consideration for this top 10, but in the end just missed out. So here are 3 honourable mentions.
Tatum 2. This time, it's for money.
Oh boy.
Only on the Blockbuster channel.
How can one little insulated wire bring so much happiness? Oh, it's got great high ceilings. Tell you what, let's sleep on it, okay?
We're not saving anything for a rainy day.
Rainy day. There's never gonna be a rainy day, Marge. There's not a cloud in the Simpsons sky. And what does my little girl want?
An absence of mood swings and some stability in my life.
How about a pony?
Okay. Ching, ching, ching! Aha!
Americanize this, my good man.
Okie dokie.
All those coins were only worth 3 lousy cents?
Let the good times roll.
So yes, despite having 2 mammoth emotional episodes, my top episode is one that manages to tickle my funny bone like no other. 3 men and a comic book is just memorable joke and moment throughout. It also introduces us to another iconic character, marking the first appearance of Comic Book Guy. Obviously this episode leads very heavily into nerd culture, with comic book conventions, baseball cards, and of course Radiation Man.
You might say I feel like Radiation Man.
That's Radioactive Man, jerk!
I stand corrected. Well, have fun, and be sure to clear out by 6 for the Shriners. Get that funk's name. No one makes a fool out of Diamond Joe Quimby.
What works in this episode is similar to Bart Gets an F. We see the struggle Bart goes through in order to try and earn money to buy the first ever Radioactive Man comic. I, for one, feel like Miss Glick is a highly underrated character as well. The scenes of Bart being tortured with the iodine is genuinely scarring. The quandary of Bart, Milhouse and Martin deciding to buy the first Radioactive Man comic book together, only to realise that one of them would have to look after the comic and none willing to back down, leads to a fantastic crescendo of them all in the treehouse on a stormy night. The longer the night goes on, the more insane and controlling Bart becomes, mixed in with the sweet nature of Marge bringing them s'mores. The comic of course ends up being destroyed, and we all learn a valuable lesson, which is that Season 2 is amazing. It was such a treat to watch the whole series back to back. It makes you realise just how strong this series was.
I've done everything I could, and I've only got $35. Ugh, I am through with working. Working is for chumps.
Son, I'm proud of you. I was twice your age before I figured that out.
But there we go. That is my top 10 from Season 2 of The Simpsons. It was a long time coming. I'm sure some of you will disagree with my choices, as you should. Feel free to voice those opinions in the comments. Which ones are your favourites, which ones did I miss out, and which ones should be included. But for now, take care and leave me alone.
Well, the world is safe again. But for how long?